Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. The console wars continue to wage, but as the power of the hardware becomes an increasingly level playing field, the only way for companies to realistically fight is with their exclusives. Microsoft undeniably lost on that front last generation and has subsequently started moving many of its products to PC as well as Xbox. Unwilling to lose this additional battlefield, Sony has also jumped on the bandwagon with a couple of its own titles, and now one new one is joining the roster. After already releasing Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn to PC, Sony Ben's criminally underrated open world zombie game Days Gone is also making the move to the platform. In an interview with GQ, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan dropped the bomb along with loads of other ones. When asked about the change of heart around selling on PC, he said, "I think a few things have changed. We find ourselves now in early 2021 with our development studios and the games that they make in better shape than they've ever been before. Particularly from the latter half of the PS4 cycle, our studios made some wonderful, great games. There's an opportunity to expose those great games to a wider audience and recognize the economics of game development, which are not always straightforward. The cost of making games goes up with each cycle, as also our ease of making it available to non-console owners has grown, so it's a fairly straightforward decision for us to make. Clearly, releasing your games onto an extra platform is a no-brainer because it boosts your potential customer base. Game development has been made more difficult this year, just like with everything else has, while player purchasing has skyrocketed. Development on projects like Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, and Ratchet & Clank has likely been stalled at least somewhat, so releasing a suite of games following Days Gone on PC will help offset those development costs. With Days Gone, it launched with many performance issues, but moving to PC should mean that many of those can be eliminated. It got a bit of a bad rap back in 2019, and while it's nothing special or particularly groundbreaking, I still really liked it. I loved riding my bike all over the picturesque Oregon setting, and the hordes were never not fun to fight. It's just a shame that all of the biggest ones are bunched at the end of the game. We don't even have to wait long until Days Gone comes to PC, as it's meant to join the platform in spring, which is just a matter of weeks away and will be followed by a number of other unconfirmed titles. Perhaps God of War, Spider-Man, The Last of Us? Elsewhere in the interview, Ryan explains that Sony's new VR headset will be a completely new VR format for the PS5. He even throws a little shade at Cyberpunk and CD Projekt, no doubt caused by the headache following all of the consumer complaints. There are 2 approaches to this. You can either hold the date and put out the game irrespective of quality, or you can ship it when it's right. We've taken the latter approach. There have been some fairly high-profile instances of publishers trying the former approach. I wonder who he could be talking about. Ironically, other than Days Gone, all of Sony's major recent games launched without severe performance issues, so it is kind of funny to see that one getting pushed up right now. When the announcement was made that Horizon Zero Dawn was moving to PC, some loyalists were very upset about losing their precious exclusives. However, Ryan says that the response wasn't too adverse. We assessed the exercise in 2 ways. Firstly, in terms of the straightforward success of the activity of publishing the game on PC, people liked it and they bought it. We also looked at it through the lens of what the PlayStation community thought about it. There was no massive adverse reaction to it, so we will continue to take mission steps in this direction. No doubt some will still be petty and pissed off about it as if the console war even matters, but all of this sounds like great news to me, and more people can enjoy great games. There is a new State of Play live stream set for this Thursday at 10 PM UK time, which is 2 PM Pacific time and 5 PM Eastern. This State of Play will likely officially announce some of the new PC games and should give more details about upcoming titles like Kenna Bridge of Spirits and Returnal, which are set to launch soon. Hopefully we also get some details about God of War and Horizon, since I'm skeptical that either of them will actually launch this year. And next up, while Horizon and God of War are among my most anticipated titles, there is one other in particular that is going through a real hard time at the moment. That game is Dying Light 2, which has been through problem after problem in the media. According to a new report by The Gamer, which spoke with 10 current and former employees at Techland, the game is in chaos. As with many games, Dying Light's development is an iterative process, but this has proven to be a massive issue as it has led to a production pipeline that changes so quickly and rapidly that it might as well not exist. Supposedly, feedback from the leadership team, including CEO Pavel Machevka, would be things like, "It's shit," and even described one piece of art as a homophobic slur. There are several other complaints of sexism and inappropriate behavior, which is made worse by the fact that the CEO's wife is the HR manager, despite not having any experience in it. Problems also extend to the game's marketing department. The creative director of marketing used to work at a PC key seller that's similar to G2A and hated by the Polish games industry, and staff don't even think he's fit for the role, with one source saying, "There's a general consensus in Techlands that marketing is not doing much and seems incompetent." The report peppers in quotes from the CEO about these different controversies that argue against the source's claims, but that is of course to be expected. Clearly something is very wrong over there, and this isn't even the first we've heard about this. One source said, "What is going on at Techland is just total chaos, not iteration." There are plenty of examples where someone is responsible for a given feature, like a game director decides on something, but Pisa, the creative director, and Marchevka, the CEO, just overwrite this because of some bullshit reason. Like they've seen something working differently in other games, so we can do it like that. Some of the reasons the leaders give for revising ideas or assets are just so absurd. It could be something like the shape of the spikes on an enemy, how a certain AI kicks the player, or some visual aspect where Marchevka will give his famous feedback line, "That just looks bad," or "This character looks gay," which is very useful feedback for specialists who work on such things for years, right? It is 100% true that there is nothing written in stone in Techland. Dying Light 2's story was rewritten like 6 times or so. It could have worked on Dying Light because the project was smaller, but it makes production for Dying Light 2, a much bigger project, just impossible to move forward. Honestly, I actually believe this level of chaos is how loads of games are developed, but sometimes the magic just happens so that the puzzle pieces fall together just in time before the whole thing falls apart. There's an excellent documentary about making God of War, which is almost 2 hours long, but explains how the whole thing was almost a complete disaster. It seems clear to me that the issue with Techland is overambitious but undercommitted management. A CEO's job isn't even really to oversee game development itself, that's the job of management positions like directors and producers. Apparently, Marchevka decided on the original 2019 release date without even telling anyone, and the devs knew that that was impossible. The situation with Dying Light 2 mirrors a lot of what's happening with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 as I reported yesterday, but possibly even worse. Both games are now delayed indefinitely, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with 2 of my formerly most anticipated titles. The full report is linked below, and I really encourage you to check it out. And finally, I came across this game while writing this segment today, and I just think it looks really cool, so I thought I'd just share it with you, huh? Why not? Narita Boy is an 80s themed 2D side-scroller by Studio Koba, and channels all the classic sci-fi vibes you could ever ask for. It's described as a narrative-driven Retro-Vania and features a man sucked into the digital realm just like in Tron. It's got some tasty synthwave tunes, but also a bit of classic 80s cheese in there to boot. It launches on the 30th of March on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, and comes to Game Pass on the same day. I literally had no idea about this game until today when I was looking for a final little segment, but this fits perfectly, and I don't shout out cool indie games enough, and this one looks pretty nifty. And that's your lot for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments, toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.